It's pretty bad.
That's a different question. But I just want to just state for the record that what did happen in 1992 was so different from what we're seeing now. I mean, that was a real riot that went all across the city of Los Angeles after a verdict in the Rodney King case. This is a situation where the LA County Police,
Dana,
it's not good, but they're saying that they have it under control, and the president is sending national troops, federal troops, in a way that
we can look at this and we can
obviously
obviously see that it is not under control. It's not under control. You and I both can see that. It's not under control. And a riot is a riot. They're throwing all types of objects at law enforcement, and the president is absolutely right.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You going to shoot some kid who's afraid of you and run? You going to shoot an elected official? If you shoot me, you better shoot straight. I don't know why you're in my city. You did. The governor was not contacted. This is Trump and his outrageous attempt to not only target our sanctuary city, but to frighten us and intimidate us. This is wrong, and I hope that none of you will use those guns to shoot anybody. There's no reason to shoot anybody. No, I want you to... Hello. Congresswoman Waters, I just came to use my congressional authority to check on David.
Ma'am, we'll lobby securely now to all visitors.
Excuse me, I need to get in.
Contact our public appeal.
I need to get in.
What are you hoping to do, Congresswoman?
I just want to see David Werta. Right. 6, 7, 8.
Would a congressperson normally be able to enter the...
Normally, yes.
What is happening here?
Well, there were some of the authorities, I don't know who they were, and I'm trying to get in to see David Werta, who they have arrested. He is the head of SEIU local union here. I don't know why he was targeted. I don't know what they're doing with him. I don't know whether they're going to deport him. I want to report back to my caucus about what's happening, but they have...
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about what will probably make some great Republican campaign ads coming up in the midterms, as I think Democrats are making a fatal mistake, okay? Instead of cooperating with ICE and deporting the illegal immigrants who are criminals from their jails, they decided to oppose the administration, and now ICE has to invade the neighborhoods, go into Home Depots and other places where the illegal immigrants are, and to conduct the mass deportations. Now, you have the lunatics losing their minds out in Los Angeles. The Summer of Love 2.0 has begun. I expect this to grow. I expect to see more of this in the liberal cities because these lunatics love illegals. They've already told us that they love the illegals for slave labor, to wipe their asses, and to help Democrats gain more power and control. And this is why you have Democrats like, for example, Maxine Waters out in LA inciting violence, okay? And as you can see, she's outside of the federal center where you have National Guards troops and other federal law enforcement officers who are there because the president told them to go to LA to try to control the riots. Now, as you can see here in the background, you have another country's flag and a Democrat basically harassing the National Guardsmen, right? Harassing federal law enforcement. That is what we have here, okay? I'm not sure if this type of imagery is going to work out well for the Democrat Party. Maxine Waters actually tried to break into one of the facilities. She rolled up thinking that she would be let into an ICE facility, and she got the door slammed in her face. And the funniest part about it is that even CNN caught this moment in which Maxine Waters got rejected. Take a look.
But this is what they are seeing here in downtown Los Angeles, an incredible militarized force. It actually brought Congresswoman Maxine Waters, this image brought her down here to the Metropolitan Detention Center. She tried to get inside to talk to the president of SEIU. He was detained. She could not get in. The door indeed was slammed in her face. And then here's what...
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that, okay? The door was slammed in her face, okay? Slammed in her face. She thought that she could just walk up into the federal facility to check on the illegals, to make sure that they have comfortable beds, okay, they're getting food, they're getting water, right? Again, have any of these people ever going into their own neighborhoods to check on their constituents, to make sure they have all the essentials, that they're okay, right? I've only seen Democrats do that when it comes to illegal immigrants. Now, again, this is just not a good look for the Democrat Party. I'm not sure if standing with people who are currently assaulting federal law enforcement with foreign flags, okay, foreign flags, which again, you know, if they love Mexico so much or wherever they're from, why are they protesting being sent back? I don't understand. Why is it that they're protesting being sent back to a place that they love so much, right? I really don't get it. But anyways, they have decided that, you know what, we're going to die on this hill. Okay, we're going to die on this hill. We don't care how bad it makes us look. Okay, we are going to basically support what is an insurrection, right? That's what it is at this point. Let's call it what it is. This is an insurrection against the United States of America by foreign invaders. And Democrats are on the side of the foreign invaders, okay? This is treasonous behavior at this point, okay? And Maxine is doing what Maxine does best when these types of riots break out, is that she incites more violence. She's basically calling for everybody to get in the street and to participate in these riots against federal police. So without further ado, let's listen to what she has to say.
To stop here where the guns are. I want you all to take pictures of these guns and let people know that they're in our city with guns, and I'm sure they have orders to shoot and kill. I don't know, but otherwise they wouldn't have guns.
One question, Representative Ms. Waters, if there's one statement that or a message that you can send to Donald Trump, what is that message here today?
My message to Donald Trump is you are a cruel human being, and that you are using the poorest people in the land, the most vulnerable people in the land, to promote your politics. You are wrong. We know what this is all about. We have people who are immigrants here who are trying to seek a better living, who have come from places where they have experienced this kind of thing that he's doing here today. People who work every day, people who are paying taxes, who are raising their families, who are supporting education. They should not be treated this way. They should be given an opportunity to tell their story, whom they are, and why they're here, and ask the United States to please do what the Constitution allows us to do, and that is give them consideration for having citizenship here.
Ms. Maxine Waters.
So basically what she's saying is that illegals should be allowed to come into the country illegally, and then we should just give them citizenship, right? That is what she's saying. Again, if Democrats think that this is a winning message, I think they're mistaken, okay? They're very mistaken if they think that this is a winning message, okay? I think that people, generally speaking, want an orderly process when it comes to coming into this country, okay? We don't want people just coming across the border and being able to stay here and then just giving them citizenship. But ultimately, that's what they want. They want the illegals to get citizenship because that helps Democrats when it comes to their voter base. It helps them when it comes to accumulating more power and control. That's what it's about for them. This is what they're fighting for. They're not fighting because, they care about the illegals having a better life. They don't care about that. Okay, this is not coming from a place of humanitarianism or any type of altruistic agenda, anything like that, where they pretend. No, it's simply about them. They're upset because their voter base is being deported, right? They're upset because their slaves are being deported. That's what they're upset about.
First, thank you for those words. Another thing, do you find it coincidental that this is happening at this time of the year right now? Is there anything that you can correlate with the timeline that it's happening with right now alongside?
No, I think that the president has not been able to live up to the threat that he used during his campaign, where he was going to get millions of them out of here. And I think it's come to the point where he thinks he's got to show something. But also, his ridiculousness has taken over the armed services to celebrate his birthdays coming up. And people are saying, are you going to spend millions of dollars celebrating your birthday using the armed services to do it? And I think that adds to it. All of this is coming to the forefront now.
And Congresswoman, how should the city of LA and the state of California react to this? What's the smart play here?
All of the elected officials in this city should be on the street. The mayor should be on the street. The city council should be on the street. Everybody should be on the street. All of the state elected officials. All of us in Congress. We're supposed to be in Congress tomorrow. But I want you to know, I'm trying to stop him from getting richer and richer on crypto. The more money he has, the more powerful he has, the more he will elect people. So we got a lot of work to do.
Ms. Waters.
Yeah, so basically what she's saying is that she's going to skip work to protest on behalf of illegal immigrants, right? This is what she's saying. She's skipping working on behalf of the American people to help illegal immigrants, which, you know, she's not really working on behalf of the American people anyways. Like, let's say that she did show up to Congress. She's actually just working against Trump, which means that she's working against the American people. So either way, right, regardless of whether or not she goes to work or she's in the streets of LA, she's working against the American people, period. But again, this is the priority of the Democrat Party, right? She's basically telling the Democrats, hey, everybody needs to be in the streets of LA, right? She is doing what she always does. She's doing what she did during the BLM riots, is that she's out here trying to get people to antagonize federal police, to commit acts of violence. That is what she means. That is what she wants, okay? This woman is an agent of chaos. And it should be no surprise that, once again, this is what we're seeing even after the National Guard has been deployed, okay? The chaos is just ratcheting up at this point. I don't see an end in sight.
We're going to fight so our families are free. So we are asking that everybody that got arrested today be released. We want them in their houses with their families, with their children. That's where this is where we belong. This is our home. And we belong here.
Okay, so everybody is like running off right now. I'm not sure why. I can see just down the street. My photographer can move with me a little bit. There's a huge group of people marching down the street right now, and you can see this might be what we've seen before. Oh, look at that, Andy. If you can just scoot over to the right, look over here to the right. You can see there's a protester squaring off with law enforcement right now. Can you see that? So there you have, okay, we're hearing the flashbangs. We're hearing the, if can, okay, we're going to go ahead and move. Stay with me. Stay with me. All right, so here we go. We're going to take you up to the line so you can see what's happening here. All right, so you can see right now, you have officers that created a line to protect themselves, standing here with these protesters who are continuing to shout at them. The disrespect, the level of disrespect has just been insane over these past few days. You have so many people cursing and shouting at law enforcement. You know, these people are out here, they're just trying to protect and serve. They're just trying to keep this community safe.
Have gathered outside the federal complex in downtown L.A. You can see it appears that there are some federal police there, as well as the National Guard. President Trump has deployed the National Guard on the ground in L.A. To try to quell some of the protests that have been going on now. Well, this is their third day. And this time the National Guard is in place and protecting some of the federal buildings there. There's been some bloodshed already. We saw that in our last report, but we don't know who was responsible. We know that some of the protesters have been throwing items at the National Guardsmen. The National Guard responded with tear gas, with flashbang grenades, and the like. But it's a dicey situation, and you can see there that the protesters are, getting physical with some of the federal vehicles that have been marshaled in to, again, try to protect the federal buildings there. President Trump has said that he is not going to tolerate any of these protests. Our Christina Coleman is on the ground there. Christina, what's going on?
Yes. Hi. Can you scoot out of the way just for a second? Yeah, you can see. So you can see you have law enforcement. They're coming down the street right now. They're pushing back the protest line. They're blocking off this intersection. See, a lot is going on. Tension really mounting here. There were 50 protesters out here earlier today. Then that amount grew to probably 700, and you can see how chaotic it is as these people continue to move around. There's lots of people live streaming. There's lots of graffiti going on. So just a lot of people really frustrated. You talk to these protesters, they tell you they want ICE gone. They want everyone who was arrested during the immigration raids to be released. I'm hearing some flash bangs going off. There might be, not seeing tear gas yet, but there was earlier. You had a couple of protesters, rioters actually throw bottles at the officers, and I'm not sure what was in them, but, law enforcement, they definitely protected themselves deploying that tear gas and those flashbang grenades. You also have a lot of National Guard here. They are protecting the federal building. That is where you had those rioters.
Watching day 3 of the riots, these crowds grow around this federal building throughout the day, hour by hour. And you have to ask yourself, why is that? Is that because they are heeding the words of Congresswoman Maxine Waters to continue to push back against ICE and federal authorities and Trump's agenda?
She literally asked for this.
Yes.
She wants this.
She said they have to push back more.
We have not seen Democrats come out.
Yeah. So you seen that, you heard that. Okay, we should never let the Democrats ever gaslight us again about January 6th. In fact, I never want to hear about January 6th ever again. Okay, ever again. We've had the BLM riots, the Antifa riots, the Roe v. Wade riots, the pro-Palestine riots, and now the illegal immigrant riots. All of these riots, left-wing riots. Now, how many riots have we had over the last 4 years, guys, that have been right-wing? How many? Right? Outside of January 6th, how many? And let's be real. January 6th wasn't a riot. It was a protest. It was a protest that got, a little out of control, but not quite a riot. How many? I can't think of any, but I can think of a lot of left-wing riots that have happened in this country. And like I told you guys, left-wing domestic terrorism is the biggest threat to this country, bar none. There's no other threat to this country that is bigger when you talk about domestically speaking, okay, than left-wing extremism. This is just more left-wing extremism. At some point, the liberal media has to have a real conversation about why is it that we continue to see this type of violence from left-wing extremists, okay? So with that being said, President Trump has spoken out about what is currently happening in Los Angeles. He says a once great city, Los Angeles, has been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals. Now violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations. But these lawless riots will only strengthen our resolve. I am directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. Order will be restored. The illegals will be expelled and Los Angeles will be set free. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yeah, so what President Trump is saying is that, listen, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. Now, again, this is going to test why President Trump put Pam Bondi in charge, why he put Pete Hegseth in charge, why he put Kristi Noem in charge, because the people in the last administration, they would not be willing to do what we got to do, right? If you got to deploy the Marines, deploy the Marines. If the National Guard, if they got to, use whatever force necessary in order to shut down these riots, hey, it is what it is. We have to have law and order in this country. And again, these Democrats are at fault. Anything that happens as a result of these riots is on the hands of the Democrats, right? It is their fault. They had an opportunity to prevent this from happening. Now, again, what I want people to understand is that what we're seeing out in Los Angeles, okay, and what we may see in these liberal cities is a result of the chaos that Democrats frequently allow in this country, right? They're allowing this to happen.
Try to spread them out a bit. Now, obviously, they're trying to disperse them. I'm curious if now that the National Guard troops are there on the ground, if there is any urgency on the police department's part to really put out an even stronger force and a stronger posture to get this under control, so you can, and I know your governor has said that they don't want, that he's formally requested that the National Guard troops go back, that they're not needed. Were those things correlated?
Well, I absolutely agree with the governor in asking that the troops be withdrawn. I don't think that is a way to bring peace in Los Angeles. I think that our law enforcement officers can handle this situation, but I just have to repeat again, it's a feeling here of intentional chaos in a situation that had not broken out to violence, short of a few people, and there's nothing unusual about that, and our police departments can manage that, but it is as though troops were rolled out in a provocative manner, and I do not see how that is helpful to Los Angeles right now. It's not the type of resources that we need in the city.
And our country would become occupied by foreign invaders under the Democrat Party, right? So again, people need to think about that next election, okay? When you have Gavin Newsom on the ballot, who will be running for sure, and other Democrats, they need to think about, hey, do you want our country to be occupied by foreign invaders? Waving Mexican flags and flags from all across South America, the global South, who think that they have a right to just stay in this country, and if they're forced to leave, they're going to fight federal police. That's what Democrats support at this point. They are a party that supports a foreign enemy occupying this country. This is treasonous behavior for the Democrats. And I just don't think that this is going to work out politically for Democrats. I really don't. The American people approve of what President Trump is doing when it comes to the deportations. Okay? They say that it's making us safer. Now, obviously, you have lunatics in this country that 30% believe it's making us less safe to deport people. But again, a majority of people think that, it's making us safe, right? It's making us safe, okay? And ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what the American people voted for. This is what American people voted for. And Democrats are showing us how much they want the foreign invaders to stay, right? And to live off our taxpayer dime. And how they don't believe in law and order. Democrats are showing us what leadership would be like if they were running the country. President Trump is showing us that he's not tolerating this. Okay, he's not going to tolerate the chaos. He's not going to tolerate the violence, the destruction. That under President Trump, this country is going to be safe from foreign invaders. Democrats have said, no, we're going to allow this country to be taken over, right? That's the difference. That's the difference. And this is why elections matter. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.